and thanks for giving this opportunity to share my experience. I think I recall many years back I was talking with one of the past presidents that time that there's so much of wealth of knowledge within the EO. So the learning events within EO can be a huge tapered down. Then again, I think it has started. It's a very good initiative.
Last year they had a lot of lalas, I think.
I used to.
70 lalas.
Yeah. So I think it's a very good initiative, and the amount of learning which we can have within our own self, it's unimaginable. So good that you have created, more particularly with 25 years, and so many new members have come in, the new members and the young ones, and we will learn from them, and there can be a lot of exchange programs in smaller groups, and more particularly, again, the integration event is good. So congrats, Gaurav, keep it up.
Thank you.
Friends, I'll share some of my experiences of life, and it has been very interesting journey and some learnings. So at the end, I'll just sum up a couple of the learnings. But if I look back during my days of growing up, I was the third sibling among the five of us, in the middle. So you get squeezed from both the sides. So with that, you know the challenges which you face when you're in the middle. But basically, I was till class 8. I was very weak in studies, and so you get in the wrong side. Everything, his weakness was there, and then something happened, and some transformation happened, and class 8 was my transformation journey. And post class 8 till my education, graduation, CA I did, it was all at the top. In school, in college, it was in the top 2. And that transformation and realization what happened, and if I look back, and maybe that time it was not there, that why it happened, but I think a lot to my father. He exposed us a lot to the teachings. He used to read every night to all of us, all the five of us, chapters from the Gita, Bible, Swami Vivekananda, philosophies. So all that somehow you get ingrained at a young age. I remember in 78-80 we used to go to all the Gita classes of Swami Parthasarathy way back in 78-80. Every day religiously, whenever he was here, he used to do at home also. He used to come, and then all his classes in Kalamandir. So all that gets ingrained in you, that the value systems. I think that is one of the important takeaway in our journey, which helps a lot in being resilient to whatever changes, whatever challenges you face in life. I used to listen to those discourses. That was my spare time. Music was not. It just became me as such. I used to even I used to wear saffron clothes mostly as a kind of Swami. And my marriage initial days was also my all teachings of Swami Vivekananda is what inspired me a lot those days. So the journey of school happened from class 8, and class 8 only I had to start to go to office in my factory. After school, 3 o'clock, 3 to 6 was in the factory. We had a small flour mill in Chitpur, so take the tram and go to the factory and come back. So that was a good exposure early on. And then in class 11, I started my own business, export import. Used to import various products for flour mill, equipments and machinery and all. So father gave us an exposure into the business and learning. It was similar time that we had multiple challenges in the larger family. My grandfather expired, and that was around 1985 to 88, those years. And the family, larger family issues happened, the split happened, and my father and me just came out of the family and had to start scratch. There was virtually nothing, no base was there, and started to build up again. And that's the time we tried lots of businesses. I would say I used to even export garments, skirts, everything. We must have tried leather goods, everything. We kept on trying because At that point of time, India didn't have foreign exchange. So export was a big driver by the government. We even had income tax raid all over the family in '86, and that is the time when I was doing my CA. So I got good exposure to this thing, and I topped India in tax that time, because income tax 2 years was the grill. So that gave a good exposure. I did my CA before my graduation itself. In one stroke it happened, so it was lucky, parallel to work and studies. So again, that is a time when multiple challenges were there in the family, in the work. But as I said, that the foundation which was built, that helped in taking life as a journey, and focus on the work rather than what's the. I don't think till recently that the awareness that what you have done, what is the result of it. It has always been a journey all through. And it was then in 1989, prior to that, one more experience in 87, 88 was just after marriage. I was sponsored by the US government to do a diploma in flour milling. And that was the first time I ever went out of the country. 2 months of program in Kansas State University, did my program there. 1 month I took a Greyhound bus tour around the entire East Coast, staying in the bus on night and touring various places. So that was a good experience. But you come here and flour milling industry shut down. Licenses, everything, the rules and regulations change. So one of the key things one of the learnings for this has been the regulatory risk, the government risk. It's a very high risk which needs to be factored in business, and therefore to see how you handle it, how you manage that particular risk. And we've seen it till recently. But when that happened, as you may know, the Avni, that mall and all which is there on the other side,
Riverside.
the bridge, the Vidyasagar Setu, they just one day broke our walls and took a part of the land. And then the family that shut down, it was a larger family, so then it was sold. And that's when in 89 we started Shrey as a leasing company. That again, one of my professors in CA, he had written books on hire purchase lease, and banker friends, they suggested it's a good business, we can try. And imagine, we started leasing and we didn't have any capital. I remember we started Shrey with 5 lakh rupees as a deposit, and then got facility from the bank and started building. And we were young, so we wanted to do something different. I and my brother Hemant, we too started Shrey. Because my second brother, we are 4 brothers, so second brother, he went to UK for he was doing his MBBS here in RJK, and then he went for his higher education to London. So we too started Shrey as a leasing company, looking at what to do, and came across first financing was an excavator in Barbil, in the mines, to mechanize the labor force. It was all manual, so converting the labor into manual. That's how we started with Larsen and Toubro's equipment. That journey happened in 91. We needed capital, so we wanted to raise an IPO and then go public. We didn't get approval for almost a year, and that time it was SEBI had not come. It was the Controller General, we needed approval from the Ministry of Finance for if you want to raise capital. I remember we raised 1.28 crores in 91, and we were not getting the approvals. After a lot of fight, my father just went and did a dharna there and went to the PMO's office and said, how can you not? It's a small company still from Eastern India. Finally, they got fed up and we raised the capital. So that was a good high to transformation. And my father used to give a lot of emphasis to us to get exposed to chambers of commerce, conferences, to meet people. And one of the key thing again learning has been that business is equal to networking. And what we do on a day-on basis, you get exposed to, especially these chambers of commerce, conferences, and all, helps a lot in giving a lot of inputs and learning. And that's the early days. I used to go to chambers, conferences globally on leasing and financing, and so that in 94 we came across 93, 94 we came across a German institution owned by the government. They're looking at supporting companies in developing countries, and in 94 we got a funding from the government of Germany, 15-year funding at 2% for the development. And one of the learnings, and it continues, the art which is required is storytelling. Today the venture capitalists and all the startups have built up a lot more, but those days it was basically, one of the learning was how do you tell a story. And for that you need to understand your audience, you understand whom you are saying. It's not to your own self. So you need to understand the person, understand the audience, what they are looking for. So that's, and you get into the sweet spot and you achieve your success. And that's what, when we first understood that they are looking for companies who can help in development, impact. Today we call it sustainability impact, and all. Those days was those institutions who wanted to have a impact for sustainability on development. And we were doing that. We changed our storyline in terms of when you are providing financing to contractors who were labor contractors, entire mining belt, Dhanbad, Asansol, Orissa, was from where you started. The infrastructure at that time was not there. Roads were being built with manual labor. I remember in 91, 92, the total sale of construction mining equipment in India was 100 crores. That too, 70, 80 crores was only Coal India, Hindustan Zinc and all. 20, 30 crore was private, majority L&T and a few others. The mechanization virtually was non-existent. And today if you see, it will be about 60,000 crores. So that journey helped. In 96, 97, we were able to get funding from World Bank. That again took us 2 years. And I used to be in Washington DC every 3 months. Literally was not able to get inside the office. But with persistence, telling the story, because we were very small. They said that what the hell, we can't provide a few $1 million to a company in Calcutta. It doesn't make sense for us. But finally we said that if you don't do that, then how do you achieve your development goals? If you give to just big companies, you don't achieve anything. They can go to 10 more places. If you give to somewhere, this thing. Fortunately, one of the officers, he was a Bengali, a young officer, who was working there. He got interested a little, and then the journey started. And they said, no, then I'll take equity also. So they took equity, and that was then a journey. We got government of Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, Finland, Sweden, Canadian, Austrian, French, to keep investing till 2007-8. A good journey where we could grow. Majority of our funding was international, all 10 to 15 year. Exposure to those sectors, and this thing was phenomenal, I would say. I have a bad memory. So basically what happened is in 2005 then, we had a director on board from World Bank. So he said that now you have grown to a size, you need to transform yourself, because with this structure which you have, you are a caterpillar, and if you have to move forward now, if you don't transform into a butterfly, you will not be able to fly. And I still recall that, and he said that you have to transform into a bank, because the liability side is a problem for a NBFC. the structure of a NBFC is that your asset you may have growth if the economy is growing a market, but how do you take care of your liability? Because you can't take deposits, so you are dependent on wholesale funding. And as we learned in 2008, what happened is when the global crisis, RBI stopped foreign loans to NBFC. We could not borrow internationally. The regulatory risk happened. So that's when we tried to acquire a bank. We virtually acquired a part of it, and we were wanting to merge it. It was a small bank in Maharashtra, Sangli Bank. RBI called us and said that sorry, you can't do it. You sell the bank to ICICI. Mr. Kamath was called, and we had to just do the deal, convert our shares into ICICI Bank shares, and close the chapter.
So this is post-acquisition or during the acquisition stage itself?
During the acquisition, so you can once as soon as you take 10%, you have to not license. You have to apply for permission
From the RBI.
from the RBI beyond 10%. So we had concluded the transaction because that bank was owned by almost family from Sangli. There were 70-80 members. It took us 1 year to get every member to agree to sell. So it was a Herculean task to get them, everyone. No one was in talking terms, the family. So going to the major family members and getting them on board. We got that done, and then we thought it'll happen. It didn't happen. So then when that did not happen, we started to look at what else to do, because we could see that the journey needs to change. So then we got G Capital and BNP Paribas. G, I was working a lot. G was my role model, and since '96 I used to visit the headquarters. I was very close to them, and we used to do a lot of deals as a lender, as a borrower from them, and doing securitization all the way back in '96 with them. So they were my role model, and we were doing a lot of business together in India and competing also. In 2002-03, they were one of our competitors, along with Citi and who was there? So yeah, Citi and G. These were the two major competitors to us. Then when they approached us to acquire a majority stake, so we started talking with them and with BNP. Finally, in 2008 April, we concluded with BNP Paribas as a 50-50 this thing, and they came in as a partner. Unfortunately, April, May, they invested, and September global crisis happened. And two things. One, they got impacted as a global bank, and India, RBI stopped ECBs. You could not borrow. And our understanding with them was that they would be providing the liability sector. That's why we were partnering, because they are being a bank. So even if I'm not a bank, at least they take care. That was our understanding. And with an understanding that after 3 years we had the option to sell to them and exit. We knew that we could not keep on pumping in capital. So at one point of time, so that was a journey that fine, we will gradually be an investor. And that's the time we stepped out. They brought in we had that time about 5 expats, French people working here in Calcutta. Their CFO, MD was joined, but most of the people were French. And we moved back in terms of being more of a board member, and so that transition we were working on today, and we did that. And after 2008, 9, 10, 1 or 2 years was a transition. We moved as an investor. But with the global crisis, that challenge happened. Around the same time, 2005 to 8 again was a major impact, and a lot of development happened. We had created a concept of equipment bank called KIPO, and we created a company in the telecom tower base. We found that all the telecom operators that time, it was in 2005 or 6 I think, all the telecom operators were setting up their own towers. There was no infrastructure sharing. In the same building, you will have 3 or 4 towers. And one of the operators wanted funding, and that's why they had come to Shrey for financing of these towers. During the discussion, we found that in the US, this is a separate business, and your telecom tower companies are there where they share infrastructure. I studied the business model there, and we created that company, the first telecom tower company in India. Initial was a struggle because Bharti and Vodafone, not Vodafone, that time was Hutchison. They said, no, why will I share tower? We can build it on our own. Money is not a issue. Growth was very strong with the telecom. But I said it has to happen because it doesn't make sense it's like building a road. Everyone will not build their own roads. You have to share. And then in 2 years' time, the change happened. And in 2008, similarly, we had grown a lot through both organic and inorganic. And then we acquired Tatas. So one partner was BNP as a global institution, which gave us a lot of learning, more particularly to me because I was single-handed kind of managing that partnership and had done the agreement, 2 years of contract agreement with my lawyers and bankers in Paris, in India, in London, and parallelly with the Tatas. It was a great struggle. We had shook hands just 15 days, about a month before the global crisis. We had to pay them at that time $1 billion, 5,500 crores. It was a large acquisition. We didn't have that kind of money, but we thought we'll get it. Then we partnered with Goldman Sachs, Morgan, all had provided the support. We shook hands, and with the crisis, all those guys vanished. We didn't know where the money will come from. And that's the time when I must say my experience with the Tatas, and especially Mr. Tata, was great. Bankers said that these guys can't get the business and all, get the funding. So I met Mr. Tata, convinced him that give me some time. And we will give our business also partly. So some part in cash and some in kind. So my cash component brought down to 2,500 crores instead of 5.5. And we'll transfer our business too. So I'll get shares against the business. So cash and kind. He agreed to that immediately. He supported, was able to raise the 2,500 crore from Mr. Deepak Parekh. He was another guy who helped us a lot in the funding. So we raised money domestically mostly. We had GIC, Government of Singapore, as our partner, so they did little support. All got scared with the global crisis that time. And parallelly around that same time, we set up the leasing company in Russia. Again there, the World Bank and the EBRD, European Bank of Reconstruction, they invited us to set up a leasing company for infrastructure, equipment finance, leasing there. Because Russia was developing and EBRD had a role to make that country also develop. And they'd seen the experience we did with IFC, with World Bank here in India. So when we went there, RBI did not allow us to invest in Russia, saying that is a risky country, and as a regulator and NBFCs were governed by RBI, so we couldn't do anything without their approval. So I remember in 2007 or 8, around that time, Manmohan Singh was our Prime Minister. I went with him with a delegation to Russia. That's the first time I met Putin, when the hospitality of Kremlin, and there I got the opportunity to tell him that we are not able to invest because RBI does not allow. And I came back here, and 15 days later I get a letter from RBI allowing the investment. So that was a good thing. He being a RBI governor himself, former, so he could understand immediately. So that support happened. So we started the leasing company. Again, our partners were Government of Germany, Netherlands, and EBRD. It was a great journey. We thought, anyway, everyone said that the sector you're going in is a full mafia there. You're crazy to go into a country in Russia you don't know. And but in India also, Shrey was in the mid-90s also known that we financed all the mafia in the country. So because all the coal belts and this thing, virtually every contractor in the country was Shrey's customer. So Shrey was branded that they deal with all the hooligans, and I have had many experiences where the customer comes with his gun, this thing
Share
had.
some of that as well, please.
Gorakhpur. Gorakhpur, there was this large customer. So he defaulted, so obviously for recovery, he had his all his goons with the gun. Then I called him, I said, you either give the machine or the money. He said, no, you wait, you'll get the money. But he gave. I must say my experience overall with all this was great. Money used to come, it was late, but it used to come. And of course, those days our interest rates we used to charge was initially started with 48%. And then
Prakash is laughing.
that was the 90s, early 90s.
Prakash just did this.
When we were borrowing at 23%. Interest rates were 23, 24. So then it came down to 30s and all. But my main experience was in Hyderabad, that who became the chief minister and then he died.
Bye, sir.